In the dead silence of an abandoned hospital, one thing still remains alive: a whispering operating table that seems to know your name. How can an inanimate object hold such terrifying secrets? In the heart of a forgotten hospital, a single room remains untouched, as if frozen in time. Locals dare not enter, claiming they've heard whispers calling out their names. Today, we'll uncover the haunting truth behind the operating table that knows too much. Once a bustling and well-respected medical facility, this hospital was a place where hundreds of lives were saved. But in the 1980s, things began to take a dark turn. A series of mysterious patient deaths shocked the community. Doctors couldn't explain the sudden and unexplained fatalities, and the hospital's reputation began to crumble. Eventually, the authorities had no choice but to shut it down, locking its doors and leaving it to decay in silence. Yet something eerie remained behind. Locals who lived near the hospital began to whisper about the operating room, specifically one operating table that was said to hold dark secrets. It's rumored that the table, stained by the tragic history of failed surgeries, has become a vessel for restless spirits. Many claim to have heard strange noises coming from the abandoned rooms. Faint whispers of names they swear they heard called out in the dead of night. The whispers seem to come from the very operating table itself. And the most chilling part? Some believe these whispers are not just figments of imagination. The spirits of those who died on that table are said to reach out to anyone who dares come close, trying to communicate or seek justice for their untimely deaths. But here's the question: is it all just an urban legend? An exaggerated story told to scare the curious? Or is there something more sinister hiding in the shadows of that abandoned room? Something truly unnatural? To uncover the truth, we dug deep into the hospital's history, searching through old documents and patient records. And what we found was chilling. One surgeon in particular seemed to have vanished without a trace. His name was Dr. Frederick Manson, a highly skilled but controversial surgeon who worked in this very operating room. The records show that Dr. Manson was involved in a botched surgery, a surgery that claimed the life of a young patient whose family never received justice. But what really sent chills down our spines was what happened after that incident. Dr. Manson, the man who was once trusted by many, disappeared without a single lead. No one knew where he went, or if he was even still alive. Some say he couldn't handle the guilt. Others claim he was too afraid of what he had seen in the operating room that night. Whatever the truth, his disappearance only added to the mystery surrounding the hospital. As we stand here now, in the very room where that tragic surgery took place, the atmosphere feels heavy. The air feels thick, almost suffocating. There's a faint smell of antiseptic that still lingers in the air, even though the hospital has been abandoned for decades. The operating table itself seems to hum with a strange energy. An unnatural chill surrounds it, as if something or someone is still present, waiting, watching. It's hard to explain, but it's as though the room hasn't moved on. Time seems to have stopped the moment that fateful surgery took place. And the closer we get to that table, the stronger the feeling becomes. Like a presence is there, lingering just out of sight, ready to make itself known. Now, the true horror of this abandoned hospital isn't just in the records or the rumors. It's in the stories shared by those who've dared to step inside. Over the years, locals have passed down chilling accounts of what happened to them when they ventured too close to that fateful operating room. One of the most spine-tingling stories comes from a man named Jason, a local who had heard the whispers of the abandoned hospital for years. Despite warnings, his curiosity got the best of him. One night, under the cover of darkness, Jason decided to explore the hospital, determined to uncover the truth for himself. As he entered the eerie room, he noticed an unsettling silence. The usual sounds of creaking floors or wind howling through the broken windows were absent. Then, without warning, he heard it. His name, whispered softly but distinctly from the direction of the operating table. Jason! Jason! No one else was in the room. No one could have spoken. Frozen in fear, Jason tried to brush it off as his imagination. But the whispers didn't stop. They grew louder, more desperate, and more personal. Jason, why did you come? But it's what he saw next that left him running for his life. As he turned towards the table, the faint outline of a figure appeared. Dark, shadowy, and barely human. The figure was just standing there motionless, watching him. Jason's heart raced, and with his every instinct screaming at him to flee, he bolted from the room without a second thought, not stopping until he was far away from the hospital grounds. Jason was never the same after that night. He refuses to speak about what he saw, but he's clear on one thing. Whatever was in that room wasn't human. Fast forward to recent times, when a team of seasoned paranormal researchers decided to take on the mystery that had haunted this hospital for decades. Armed with the latest equipment, high-tech cameras, infrared sensors, and EVP, electronic voice phenomena recorders, they were determined to uncover what lay hidden in that cursed operating room. As the team entered the room, the air grew thick with tension. Their equipment began to pick up strange readings, fluctuating temperature, erratic electrical surges, and ghostly figures on the infrared cameras. But it wasn't just the technology that seemed to react to the room's dark energy. The researchers themselves began to feel something was wrong. A feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes were following their every move. But the most disturbing event came when one investigator, Sarah, was alone in the room conducting a spirit communication session. Her voice trembling, she called out to any spirits that might be present. Suddenly, the room went eerily quiet. No sounds, no movement, just complete stillness. But then, in the dead silence, Sarah heard it. A soft whisper, barely audible, but unmistakable. Sarah? Sarah! She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The whisper was clear and unmistakable. Her name was being called out by a voice no one else could hear. But there was no one else in the room. Terrified, Sarah quickly turned to the team, but they hadn't heard anything. The cameras, however, captured something different. In one of the footage clips, a shadowy figure briefly appeared behind Sarah. Just a fleeting moment, but it was enough to send chills down her spine. With the investigation cut short, Sarah left the hospital, visibly shaken. She never returned, and to this day, she refuses to talk about what happened in that room. But the evidence, those chilling whispers, the shadowy figure, leaves one undeniable truth. Something in that operating room isn't ready to be forgotten. As the investigation reached its peak, the team's cameras were still running, capturing every moment of this chilling encounter. What they didn't expect, however, was the shocking discovery that would forever change their understanding of the hospital's dark history. While reviewing the footage from the night, one of the researchers, Mark, noticed something strange. An unsettling detail that no one had caught in real time. On the infrared cameras, a shadowy figure could be seen hovering just inches above the infamous operating table. It wasn't human, not in any way Mark had seen before. The figure shifted and swayed, almost as though it was alive, moving with a sinister, unnatural grace. Then, as the camera zoomed in, the unmistakable sound of a whisper pierced the silence. So clear, so chilling. Mark, Mark. It wasn't a distant, faint whisper. It was as if the voice was right behind him, speaking his name directly into the microphone. But here's the truly terrifying part. Mark was alone in the room at that exact moment. No one else was near the table, yet this voice, as chilling as it was, seemed to be calling to him specifically. It was almost as if the table itself was alive, drawing him in. This discovery left the team in stunned silence. The question loomed. Was this the ghost of the surgeon, Dr. Manson, still trapped in the operating room after all these years? Or was there something far more malevolent at play? Something darker than anyone could have imagined. The footage was undeniable. The figure, the voice, it was all there. And the implications were terrifying. Whatever was in that room was not bound by time. It wasn't just a lingering spirit of the past. It was something far more powerful, something that could still reach out, speak, and haunt the living. Whether it's the spirits of the past or the power of our imagination, one thing is clear. The whispering operating table in this abandoned hospital continues to send shivers down the spines of those who dare approach it. The chilling voices, the shadowy figures, and the eerie atmosphere that lingers in that room all point to a mystery that refuses to be solved. As we reflect on everything we've uncovered, we're left with more questions than answers. Is it the restless souls of the patients and doctors trapped in this hospital? Or is there something more ancient and malevolent at work? Something that defies all explanation and refuses to let go of its grip on the living? Would you dare to stand in that room, to face the darkness, and hear what it has to say? The whispers are still there, waiting for the next person brave or foolish enough to listen. If this story gave you chills, wait until you see what we discovered in the hospital's abandoned morgue. Click here to watch it next.